I also had a child I was raising from far away, and I lost custody of them at first when I really wasn't ready. I probably shouldn't have been in court, but I had to, and so trying to parent long distance was what kept me together. There are sentences that don't carry the death penalty, but they kill a person from the inside. During a custody battle, Sharon Stone heard the cruelest thing someone could say to a mother. "Do you know your daughter?" The question wasn't directed at Sharon Stone, but at Ran, the little boy who had once meant the world to her. A film scene that lasted exactly 1/116th of a second shot decades ago had now become the reason to take away her motherhood. Not because Sharon Stone didn't love her child, but because society couldn't accept a woman who had once been sensual and who dared to rise again after falling. She lost custody but not love, and it was love that led her to start a new journey. A journey to be a mother not by title but by heart. Yes, she became the mother of 3 children. When Sharon Stone woke up after 9 days of brain bleeding, she thought the worst part of her life was over. But she didn't know that the physical pain was just the start of another wound that would never heal, a cut deep in her heart. It was named Ran Joseph Bronstein, and Sharon thought he would always be by her side. Ran was the light in the darkest years of Sharon's life. Sharon and her then-husband Phil Bronstein decided to adopt an infant in 2000 after all of their attempts at natural conception failed because Sharon had endometriosis and her immune system rejected every pregnancy. Ran came into their lives like a miracle. Sharon held him in her arms when he was a newborn and rocked him to sleep every night with the trembling, soft voice of a mother who once thought she could never have children. But just 3 years later, while Sharon was recovering from a terrible stroke, Phil Bronstein, the man who had promised to be by her side through sickness and hardship, filed for divorce. Not only that, but he also asked for custody of Ran, the child they had brought home together like a dream come true. By that time, Sharon wasn't the strong Hollywood star she used to be. She was a weak woman who shook and took small, unsteady steps down the hallway of her own home. She couldn't remember what day it was, she couldn't write her name correctly, and she couldn't even read what was written in the knob. Even though she was drunk, she thought, "At least I still ran." Then she realized she was about to lose even that last piece. The court proceedings were unfair. Sharon had to go to court before she was fully recovered. Bronstein had an army of top-notch lawyers on her side. The arguments against her weren't based on her ability to mother a child, but on her public image as a sex symbol who had once been naked on screen 10 years before. Basic Instinct, the movie that made Sharon famous, had now been sued. Even worse, the court used an incident in which Sharon was said to have asked a doctor to inject Botox into her son's feet to stop them from smelling. This was a strange accusation with no proof, which Sharon denied right away. But in the eyes of the law, a mother with a history of poor health, an unsuitable reputation, and unconventional parenting views was enough to be seen as a possible threat to the child. Then came the worst blow, a cruel question. Do you know your Sharon's mother used to be in R-rated movies? That question wasn't for Sharon, it was for Ran, an 8-year-old boy who was confused and couldn't understand the line between art and morality. All he knew was that everyone in the courtroom was staring at him and that his mother was crying. A scene that lasted 1/116th of a second and was filmed in fiction and directed by someone else had become the reason Sharon was found unfit to raise her son. When the court made its decision, Sharon didn't cry. She stood there in silence, too tired to fight. The court said that Ran would Sharon, the mother who had held him every day and every night, could only visit him on set days and times with supervision. At that point, Sharon wrote in her journal, "I didn't lose because I didn't love my child. I lost because I'm a woman. I lost because I was once beautiful. I dared to do things that society doesn't accept from a mother." Ran left with his father one day, and Sharon stayed in the empty house, sitting on a wooden chair in the living room and staring at a family photo from when Ran was 1 year old. She knew that a piece of her had been ripped away forever. There are no words to describe the pain of a mother losing her child not to death, but to judgment. It's a unique kind of loss where you feel alive, but half of you has already died. From that day on, Sharon became a mother who could only feel her love lost. Sharon Stone lost custody of her son and will never get to see him grow up or hear him call her mom every morning. That pain, though invisible, will burn inside her forever. Sharon Stone didn't just lose her first child, she also lost the feeling of being called mom every day by a movie star. She became a woman living alone in an empty house full of old photos and unfinished memories. But Sharon didn't let the pain bring her down. She chose to rise. Sharon couldn't change the verdict, but she could start over by having children again. In 2005, she adopted Lear Von Stone when he was only a baby, and a year later she adopted Quinn Kelly Stone when he was only a baby, and a year later she adopted Quinn Kelly Stone, the family's youngest son. Neither child could fill the void left by Ran because Sharon knew that no one could. "I'm grateful my children chose me," Sharon said at a Mother's Day event. It wasn't just a nice thing to say, it was the truth. Sharon's love for her two boys kept her from falling apart when the world had turned its back on her. She told People magazine that she had spent years trying to adopt her second child and had faced countless problems and setbacks. It wasn't until she held the baby in her arms that she dared to believe that this family was truly starting over. Since then, Sharon hasn't been in as many movies as she used to, but she's at every parent-teacher conference and flag football game. At Quinn's football game and art show, she's no longer called a sex symbol, but at home, she's just a mom. Sharon has said more than once that being a single mom to two boys left her tired, confused, and even asking herself, "Am I strong enough for this?" But just like when she fought to survive her stroke, she knew she didn't have to be perfect. She just had to be there for her kids every day, at every meal, whenever they needed someone to listen. Hollywood doesn't put me first. Sharon Stone was once one of the most powerful women in Hollywood. But when the cameras stopped rolling and her family fell apart, she had to deal with a very different reality. She had to raise two kids on her own, without any help or a partner, and without the benefits of fame. She adopted her sons Lear and Quinn. Sharon hadn't fully recovered from her stroke yet. Her memory was foggy, her body was weak, and her finances were in bad shape, but she didn't wait to be fully stable before becoming a mother. She started right when things were the worst. Sharon didn't hire a full-time nanny or a personal driver for school drop-offs and pickups. She drove herself, made meals, went to parent-teacher conferences, and managed school days and activities like any other single mom. She had to deal with ongoing medical issues and taking care of a sick child. There were no fancy dressing rooms or flexible schedules like she did as a movie star. Instead, she had to work hard every day to make sure meals were on the table, keep things in order, and do her best in the role she chose. In an interview with People magazine, Sharon said, "I didn't give birth to them, but I don't need to be pregnant to be a mother. I love my kids as if they were part of my own body." What's amazing is that Sharon purposely kept her kids out of the spotlight. There were no red carpets or media appearances. Her three sons' lives were just like any other: school, homework, sports, and a home where their mother was always there. Sharon made it clear that she wouldn't use her fame to give her kids special treatment. In fact, she turned down many offers to appear on reality shows or in commercials with her kids because she didn't want them to be part of her public image. Sharon still does occasional film projects. Sharon still gets small roles or ad deals to make money, but most of her time is spent being a mom. She goes to class meetings, cheers from the stands at games, and never misses important events like graduations, birthday parties, or school plays. She is no longer the leading lady of Hollywood, but she is the leading lady in the lives of her three boys. When asked about what it's like to be a mom, Sharon doesn't dwell on sacrifice. She just says, "I once lost everything, but now I have my kids. That's enough." Not a fairy tale Sharon Stone, like many other women, chooses to live an honest life and face every challenge. It is this choice that makes her journey so worthy of respect. For many years, Sharon Stone lived with a void named Rowan because she wasn't allowed to be by his side, raise him, or see him grow up every day. After her divorce from journalist Phil Bronstein in 2004, Sharon lost custody of Ran, the boy she and Bronstein had adopted together, in 2000. After that, Ran was mostly raised by his father. Sharon, on the other hand, never stopped being a mother, but she couldn't be. She missed her son's most formative years and couldn't walk him to school every day. She also missed his first swim lesson, soccer game, and voice crack. Those were memories she would never get back, and it hurt like no one knew what it was. But Sharon always believed that bonds can't be broken by law or by distance. "I didn't win Ran in court," she once said, "but I got him back in love," and time proved her right. In 2019, when he turned 19, Ran Bronstein officially changed his name by adding his mother's last name from Rowan Joseph Bronstein to Ran Joseph Bronstein Stone. In the petition, Ran gave a short but powerful reason for wanting to carry the last names of both his parents. "I want to carry the last name of both my parents." The name Stone wasn't just a shortened version of Bronstein. He took on his mother's last name, which was a conscious choice and the clearest sign of a lasting connection. Sharon didn't throw a party. She just kept doing what she always did, which was being there for her son when he needed her. As Ran grew up, he started to appear with his mother less as Sharon Stone's son and more as a true friend. He started acting and made his first appearance in the movie What About Love in 2013. But it wasn't until 2023 that Sharon posted on Instagram that Ran had. In November 2024, she won the Stella Della Mole Award at the 42nd Trin Film Festival for her lasting contribution to global cinema. She wore a fiery red dress by Tony Ward and a cape made of 3,000 silk organza flowers. Sharon became famous right away, not because she was young, but because she is a symbol who doesn't follow trends but makes everyone stop and watch. A few months later, in January 2025, she made waves again at the 82nd Golden Globe Awards. This time, Sharon Stone's presence wasn't about fashion or entertainment. It was a clear but silent message. Sharon Stone didn't come back to start over. She came back because she never really left. Not movies, paintings, or the love of motherhood. And after all that loss, Sharon has found peace within herself. She no longer clings to what's gone. After years of looking for a family, fighting to be a mother, and raising 3 kids alone through crisis and recovery, Sharon has come to one simple conclusion: realization. I'm so over dating, and I'm happy being alone. That statement doesn't mean anything bad. It's just a quiet release that doesn't lead to loneliness. Sharon has also turned to spirituality as her anchor. She thinks that her strict father, who changed for her, is still watching over her every day. "It's such a strong feeling that I believe souls never disappear," she said. In a world full of fame and criticism, Sharon chooses to believe in something bigger than herself, that some bonds can never be broken. Sharon lives by the simple but profound philosophy that happiness is a choice that you have to practice every day. She doesn't wait for miracles, Hollywood approval, or someone to give her back what was taken from her. She makes her own happiness, just like she raised 3 children in silence, painted her life back into color, and stood up when no one else would. Sharon Stone is no longer the woman judged by a single movie scene. She is now the mother who redefined love through the life she chose to live. Sharon Stone once lost everything: her health, her career, her son, and even her honor, because of a single movie scene that Hollywood forgot about when she was no longer young and seductive. She was hurt to the core, but she never gave up. She started over, raised 3 kids on her own, and rebuilt her life. Ran, the son who was taken from her, chose to carry the name Stone not because she won the court case, but because she never gave up. Being a mother doesn't require perfection. All you have to do is never leave your child. Sharon Stone did just that in silence through action and unconditional love. What do you think about Sharon Stone's journey as a mother? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. If you believe a mother's love is stronger than, feel free to say yes in the comments if you agree with Sharon Stone's story. Also, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to get more updates.